All right, so today we are going to discuss a very important topic. Okay, now before we start discussing this topic, the first thing we need to understand is this. I will be telling three terms to you. Okay, let me write this for you. This is achalasia. Okay, number 2 is gastroesophageal reflux disease or GERD, and third one is abdominal epilepsy. Okay, number 1 is achalasia, number 2 GERD, number 3 abdominal epilepsy. Now if you haven't heard these three terms before, probably you have not heard this third term anywhere in your textbooks, then you must start following this particular class. Okay, I am also telling this to whoever is seeing this video right now. Clear? You first start following this class and try to concentrate in this class right now. Okay, switch off your mobiles and everything else. Okay, now first point is this, that today's topic is very, very important, which is called gastrointestinal motility. Okay, motility. In simplest terms, we will be talking about the movements of gastrointestinal tract. Clear? We will be talking about the movements of gastrointestinal tract. Now before we start discussing the gastrointestinal motility in details, that means before we start discussing individual movements of stomach, esophagus and all, we must take into account a very important thing, that is how this motility of different organs are similar with respect to their nature. Okay, now listen, whenever we are talking about gastrointestinal motility, the first thing we need to understand is this, that the basics of GI tract motility, lies in the fact that there are actually two things which is actually governing this GI tract motility. Actually there are three things. Okay, clear? There are three things which are governing this GI tract motility. Number 1, smooth muscle contraction and action potential formation. Clear? And AP formation. Okay, number 2 is neuronal activities, different neuronal activities. Number 3 is endocrine system or endocrine factors. Now before we start this, you must understand that today we will be at first discussing these two first, that is smooth muscle activity, then we will be talking about neuronal activities. After that, when we will be talking about different types of motility of different parts of GI tract, then we will be talking about specific endocrine factors. Clear? There are motility and other things. Okay, we will talk about this later, but at first right now we should discuss these two things in details. Okay, let's talk about smooth muscle activity. Okay, let's talk about the smooth muscle activity. Now listen with all your attention. If you want to learn really the smooth muscle activity, you first go to the smooth muscle contraction part of physiology, where I have taught in details the smooth muscle contraction, because here in this particular portion we will be talking about only action potential of smooth muscle. Okay, now listen. Suppose this is a smooth muscle. Okay, suppose this is a smooth muscle, and what are these? Dense bodies and dense plaques, everything. Okay, clear? I am not going into details of everything right now. Okay, now listen. These are dense plaques. Okay, these are what? Caveoli. Now I am not going into details of these. Okay, go to that particular video, you will understand everything. But right now we will be discussing how action potential traverses in this particular, smooth muscle. Okay, now listen with all your attention. In case of unitary smooth muscle or single unit smooth muscle, action potential traverses more quickly, right? Action potential traverses more quickly. Okay, now listen with all your attention because of gap junctions and all. Now listen with all your attention. In case of smooth muscle, action potential, we will be seeing a peculiar thing. That is, suppose this is 0 millivolt and this is time, axis. Now listen, this is suppose voltage. Now listen with all your attention. Now, in case of smooth muscle, what happens is this, that there are multiple small wave-like, patterns which are generating. There are multiple small wave-like patterns which are generating. Okay. Now listen with all your, okay, this is minus 50 millivolt and this is suppose minus 40. Now listen with all your attention. Now listen, minus 40 millivolt is actually the threshold potential. Minus 40 millivolt is actually the threshold potential. Okay. Minus 40 is actually the threshold potential. Now listen with all your attention. What happens is this, that whenever calcium, L-type calcium starts entering the, smooth muscle, then through gap junction, these smooth muscle enter other, smooth muscles, right? This is called single unit smooth muscle, right? This is called single unit smooth muscle, that is they are controlled by a single motor neuron, and then these motor neuron actually activate other, muscles by the help of gap junctions, right? Now listen with all your attention. What is happening here is this, that several multiple, spikes like this are occurring, but if they do not touch this threshold, potential, then no action potential will be fired. Okay. Now listen with all your attention. Suppose for a particular, calcium concentration, these waves touches this threshold potential. These wave touches this threshold potential. Then what happens is this, that they will actually give rise to these spikes. They will actually give rise to these spikes. Let me draw in a bit good manner. They will actually give rise to these okay, clear? Now listen, whenever these excitation or this calcium concentration increases, then suddenly if these disturbances reaches minus 40 millivolt, or which is the threshold potential of smooth muscles in case of GI tract, then they will fire action potential, and these are called action potential spikes. These are called action potential spikes. Now listen, these type of action potential curves are called slow waves. These are called slow waves. Okay, these are called slow waves. Okay, now we will be talking about in details how these slow waves are produced and what are the events occurring at each and every slow wave activity. Okay, now listen. Suppose this is your zero millivolt, this is minus 50 millivolt, this is minus 40 millivolt, this is this is plus 20 millivolt. Then what happens is this, then what happens is this, then what happens is this, when they touch here, clear, when they touch here, this happens. Now listen with all your attention. We will be describing each and every part of this particular slow wave spike, slow wave action potential, okay? Now listen with all your attention. What happens is this, during this phase, that is when the curve is going up, what happens is, during this phase, what happens is, L-type voltage gated, L-type voltage gated calcium channels open. L-type voltage gated calcium channels open here, okay, in this particular section, okay. Now, when L-type voltage gated calcium channel open, therefore, the cell will now, gain what? Positive charges, and therefore cell will start become excited, right? Now listen with all your attention. In case of neurons, what you have seen is there is steep, steady rise in action potential rise, right? There is a steep rise in action potential. But in case of, smooth muscle, you are seeing these low waves, right? Why? This is because of the fact that the action potential of neurons is entirely dependent on voltage gated sodium channel, but action potential of smooth muscle depends on what? L-type voltage gated calcium channels. Now listen with all your attention. These L-type voltage gated calcium channels actually require more time compared to voltage gated sodium channels. Therefore they open, therefore they require more time to open. Now listen, what happens is this, that during this phase, this is action potential spike, this is action potential spike, remember this is action potential spike. Clear? In this phase, what is happening is, in this phase, hyperpolarization is beginning, right? In this phase, hyperpolarization is beginning. That means the cell is returning to its normal state, right? What is happening here is this. What is happening here is this, that calcium dependent potassium channels now open, therefore hyperpolarization takes place, okay. And this phase, this whole process is called slow hyperpolarization. Slow hyperpolarization. Slow hyperpolarization, okay. This phase is called slow hyperpolarization, right? Now, what is happening here is this, that is, suppose after a certain time these cells will again fire, and what is happening here is this, that means it will again fire a what? Spike, right? Now what is happening here is this, that again these calcium channels, voltage gated calcium channels, L-type calcium channels again opens. Now this cycle continues, and therefore smooth muscles of GI tract continue their motility action. Okay, they are motile because of these continuous actions. Okay, so this is in brief smooth muscle activity. Clear? This is smooth muscle activity. Okay, clear? Okay, so now we will be talking about the neural control of GI tract motility. Okay, the neural control of GI tract motility. Now listen with all your attention. Your entire GI tract, or with respect to your motility of GI tract, the entire motility of GI tract is actually controlled by autonomic nervous system. Now listen with all your attention. The entire GI tract motility is controlled by autonomic nervous system, right? Now listen with all your attention. Autonomic nervous system has 3 divisions, right? That is sympathetic, right? Parasympathetic and enteric nervous system, right? Now listen with all your attention. We will now be talking in details about this enteric nervous system, because this enteric nervous system is called mini brain. Is called mini brain. Okay, this enteric nervous system is called mini brain. Why? Because they control themselves. They don't require any higher order neurons to control themselves. Therefore these are called mini brain. They have their own IQ, so that they can control their activities. Clear? Now we will be talking in details about this enteric nervous system. Now we will be talking about enteric nervous system. Okay, now listen. The first thing we need to understand is this, that our GI tract has 4 layers, right? Serous, from outside to inside I am going. Serous. Okay, suppose this is your serous layer. Serous. Then we have got muscular layer, right? We have got muscular layer. Now listen with all your attention. Actually there are 2 muscle layers. One is longitudinal muscle, which is the outer muscle layer, and then there is circular muscle layer, both of which are actually what? Smooth muscles. Okay, now listen. Longitudinal muscles look like this. They actually look like this. Okay, longitudinal muscles look like this. Draw with me. Okay, to understand this topic, draw with me. It's very, very complicated if you don't draw and understand with me. Okay, now listen with all your attention. Now listen. This is what? This is longitudinal layer. This is longitudinal muscle layer. Okay, this is what? This is longitudinal muscle layer. Okay, now listen. Here we will be getting another layer. This is what? Longitudinal muscle layer. Here we will be getting another layer, which is circular muscle layer. Okay, circular muscle layer. Okay, this is circular muscle layer. Okay, this is circular muscle layer. Okay, draw with me. Okay, these muscles are going big. Okay, now listen. So this is, now listen with all your attention possible, and this is your mucus layer. Draw with me to understand, okay? Otherwise you will be confused later. You won't be able to understand what is what. Those who are watching the videos, they also should try to draw with me, otherwise they won't be able to understand. Now listen with all your attention. Clear? So this is what? This is your mucus layer. Mucus layer. This is what? This is your mucus layer. This is your submucous layer. Submucous layer. This is your muscularis externa. Muscularis externa or muscular layer in short, okay? And this is what? This is what? This is serous layer, okay? This is serosa, okay? Now listen with all your attention. What is the most important thing about this particular ENS is this. Now listen, these are what? Normal cells? Do you think these are neurons? Do you think these are neurons? Now listen, we are talking about, our main topic is enteric nervous system, right? Do you think that there are any neurons here? Now listen with all your attention. Now I will be placing the neurons strategically. Now I will be placing the neurons strategically, and you must draw with me whatever I am drawing. You must draw with me whatever I am trying to draw, okay? Now listen. Suppose here is your actually mouth, okay? Suppose here is your mouth, and this is the oral phase, or this is the, you know, actually the oral portion where your mouth is present. This is the oral portion, and where is anus is present. I am not going to show the anus obviously. Where your anus is present, that is what? Where your anus is present, that is aboral portion. Now listen, suppose this is your oral portion, and this is what? This is aboral portion, aboral, okay? Now listen with all your attention. What is happening here is this, you must understand. What is happening here is this, that, now listen, few neurons are going towards the oral portion, okay? Few neurons are going towards the oral portion, okay? Listen with all your attention. Few neurons are projecting towards the oral portion, right? And few neurons are coming towards the aboral portion, okay? Now listen with all your attention possible. Few neurons are coming towards the aboral portion, and few are going towards the oral portion. These neurons are actually the, you know, fundamental to understand, you know, ENS. Now listen, few neurons are coming to the oral portion. Those which are coming to the oral portion, that means they are moving up. Suppose this is your GI tract. Suppose this is a GI tract, and they are moving towards the oral portion. That means going up. Therefore, these processes are called ascending neurons. Ascending means what? They are moving up. Therefore, they are called ascending neurons. Okay. Now, these neurons are moving down. These neurons are moving down towards the anus, right? That means what? They are descending neurons. They are what? They are descending neurons, okay? These are ascending neurons and these are descending neurons. Now, very much important point you need to understand right now is this, that these ascending neurons, every ascending neuron and every descending neurons, now listen with all your attention, every ascending neuron and every descending neuron give out collateral branches. Now listen, every ascending neuron give collateral branches to both what? Longitudinal and circular muscle layer. Okay. Draw with me, otherwise you won't be able to understand later. Okay. Every neuron, whether it is ascending neuron or descending neurons, they give collateral branches to both the layers of muscle. Clear? Now let us draw the I am missing some of the muscles. That doesn't mean that they are not innervated by any nerves. Obviously innervation is present in every muscle. Clear? So this is a network. Now listen, this network, this chain of ascending and descending neurons which are entangled together, this chain is called myenteric plexus. This is called myenteric plexus. Now listen, this myenteric plexus, actually the name means, myo means what? Muscle. Enteric comes from the word enteric nervous system. That means this particular muscle layer, this particular neuronal layer control the muscle movement. Actually this is the neuronal layer which helps in peristaltic movements. They help in actually what? Peristaltic movements. Okay. So this is what? So ascending and descending neuron, this ascending and descending neuron, they makes up what? This ascending and descending neuron, they makes up what? Anus. This ascending and descending neuron, they makes up anus, according to you. Oh, they makes up what? This ascending and descending neuron nerve network, they makes up myenteric plexus. Now listen, there is another name for this myenteric plexus which is called Auerbach's plexus. Auerbach's plexus, probably the person who identified this particular nerve net. Okay. So myenteric plexus or Auerbach's plexus actually helps in peristaltic movements. Okay. They actually helps in what? Movement of, they actually helps in movements of GI tract. Okay. They helps in movements of GI tract. Okay. They helps in the movement of GI tract. Okay. Clear? They helps in the movement of GI tract. Now listen with all your attention possible. Now there is another nerve net which is present here. There is another nerve net which is present here. There is another nerve net which is present here in between mucus and submucous layer. Okay. There is another nerve net which is present in the mucus and submucous layer. Now listen with all your attention possible on this earth. Now every neuron in this case actually activates other. Draw with me, otherwise you won't be able to understand later. Okay. Now every neuron in this case activates other. Clear? Now this nerve net, plexus means nerve net. Okay. This nerve net or this plexus is called Meissner's plexus. Meissner's plexus or Meissner's plexus or submucosal plexus. Clear? Meissner's plexus or submucosal plexus. Now listen with all your attention. Meissner's plexus or submucosal plexus do not play any role in the movement. They actually play a heavy role in the GI tract blood vessel activities, GI tract incoming blood vessel activities, and they actually play a role in secretion. They actually play a role in secretion of you know, GI tract juices. That means they actually activate these mucosal cells, and they activate also submucosal glands which are present here. These are submucosal glands which are present here, which secretes mucus. They activate these submucosal glands and these, you know, mucosal cells, so that they can secrete these GI tract juices. Okay. Now these cells, you know, what are these cells? They can be enterochromaffin like cells. There are many cells which are activated by these Meissner's plexus. Okay. Now listen. So up till now we have discussed ENS based on two, you know, plexuses, right? Actually ENS is made up of what? Two plexuses, right? That is myenteric plexus, myenteric, and Meissner's or submucosal, right? Meissner's. Okay. Now listen with all your attention. Myenteric plexus helps in the movement of GI tract. Meissner's plexus helps in secretion of GI tract juices. Clear? Okay. Now listen with all your attention. We must know something very, very important now. Okay? Now listen. You must understand one very basic thing now, that is, these are what? Neurons. Everything here is neuron, right? These and these. Every plexus is made up of neurons. Now listen. Now these neurons are also activated. These neurons are activated by many things, but one of the main thing which activates these neurons are sensory neurons, right? Now this sensory neuron is present in the submucosal layer, and they goes up, and activates both, you know, these black neurons are sensory neurons which goes up and activates both ascending and descending neurons. They activate both ascending and descending neuron. Now listen. What is the function of this sensory neuron or black neuron? Now listen. Whenever food is present, then food have many, you know, chemical composition, and most of the chemical composition actually activate this sensory, you know, this sensory side of this particular neuron, and therefore excitatory nerve impulses are coming down through its axon, and they will excite these neurons. Okay. Now we will be talking about how this whole system contracts or relaxes when a particular food bolus enters this. Now listen, this is what? This is your oral surface, this is your oral side, right? We have already discussed, this is your oral side. You don't want to take your food with the help of your aboral surface, right? You don't take your food through your anus, right? You are now laughing, everybody I think is laughing, but it's true. Some people were saying that they will take food from aboral surfaces. They have some different concept about GI tract, okay? We don't know about that. Okay? Okay, now let's be serious and let's concentrate here. So food is coming from here, right? Now listen, food will not enter here, okay? Why? Because this is one of the layer of GI tract. If you think that food will enter here, now listen, food, actually what is this, you know? This is one of the layer of, you know, GI tract, okay? These are the layers of GI tract. Actually your mucous membrane lies here. And here is your lumen, and this lumen will actually help in the entry of food. Now listen with all your attention. Suppose this is a food molecule. Suppose this is a food molecule, not molecule. This is suppose a food bolus, okay? Suppose this is a food bolus, okay? Suppose this is a food bolus, a chicken piece or whatever it is. Suppose this is a food bolus, okay? Now listen with all your attention. What is happening here is this, that whenever this food bolus is coming, then what happens is this you know, sensory neurons here. There are sensory neurons here also, right? There are also sensory neurons here, right? The sensory neurons becomes excited, and they excites ascending and descending neurons. Now listen with all your attention. There is something called law of gut. You know what is this? What is law of gut? You know, if you want to know what is law of gut, this is the most stupid thing, but you must understand this right now. Suppose this is your, you know, GI tract tube, okay? Suppose GI tract is nothing but a long tube, okay? Suppose this is a GI tract tube. Now what is law of gut is this. Suppose this is a tube. Suppose this is a tube, okay? Now suppose here food is present. Suppose this is food. Now what happens is this. Okay, let me draw. Okay, suppose what is law of gut? Suppose this is your, GI tract, and here is food bolus present. Now what is law of gut is, what happens is, just beside, just in the oral surface of the food, what will happen is this surface will contract, and this surface just before the food will actually relax. Now this wave of contraction and relaxation actually travels through the entire GI tract. Okay, this is called peristalsis. Okay, now what will happen is this. Now listen with all your attention. If you understood what is law of gut, then we are going to explain in details neurologically how this law of gut works here. Okay, now this is food. Suppose this is your food. This is your food. Okay, suppose this is your food molecule. Now listen, that means this portion will now relax, and this portion will now contract, and this portion should relax, so that food may enter from here to here. Food will come here, right? Food will go towards your aboral surface. I was telling about oral surface, that means it's vomiting. No. Now listen, what is happening here is this. That means food will come from oral to aboral surface. That means food must go from here to here, right? Now what is happening here is this. In order to do that, this particular portion should contract, right? This particular portion should contract, and this particular portion should relax, right? Now we are going to discuss how this happens. We are going to right now discuss how this happens. Listen with all your attention. What happens is this. Whenever the sensory neurons are activated, they will activate both ascending and descending neurons, right? They will activate both ascending and descending neurons, right? Now listen with all your attention. All the ascending neurons are going here towards the oral surface. Now listen, the nerve endings of the ascending neurons after being activated, now listen with all your attention, the nerve endings of the ascending neurons after being activated by the sensory neuron will release acetylcholine. Okay, will release acetylcholine, and you must know now one thing. Whenever acetylcholine is released into the GI tract motility will increase. Okay, clear? And whenever adrenaline is released into the GI tract, motility will decrease. Clear? Now listen with all your attention. When acetylcholine then is released by these ascending neurons, what will happen is this is very important. Now listen with all your attention. What will happen is, when acetylcholine is released here, then there are nicotinic receptors present. Now listen with all your attention. Now listen with all your attention. These neurons have nicotinic receptors, and nicotinic receptors are nothing but ligand-gated channels, and when this acetylcholine will bind with this nicotinic receptor, sodium will enter, sodium and calcium, whatever it is, will enter, right? When calcium will enter, then these and suppose this is a muscle, these muscles will now contract, these circular muscles will now contract. Therefore this portion will look like this. Suppose this is food bolus. Now this portion will look like this because the circular muscles are contracting. Now listen with all your attention. When circular muscles are contracting, acetylcholine is also released in the longitudinal layer. Now listen with, there is a trick here. Now the longitudinal layer muscles have G protein coupled receptor or muscarinic receptor. They don't have nicotinic receptors, they have muscarinic receptors. Now listen, what is happening here is this. These muscarinic receptors are coupled to GI, and therefore they will relax. Now listen, what is happening here is this, that whenever food bolus is present, then the portion of the GI tract where the food bolus was present actually, that means suppose this is the portion of the GI tract where food bolus is present. Now the portion of the GI tract where the food bolus has come will undergo contraction. The portion of the GI tract where food bolus will enter is what? Will now relax, right? Now listen with all your attention. In order to contract, only circular muscles are enough. Therefore circular muscles contract, but longitudinal layer will relax. But longitudinal layer will relax. Okay, but you must understand a very basic thing here as well. What is happening? This is, suppose, this is what? This is ascending layer, Now listen with all your attention. In the descending layer, a very important thing is happening. Now listen. In the descending layer, in the descending cells, what is happening is this. These, nerve endings will release, inhibitory neurotransmitter like nitric oxide and or vasoactive intestinal peptide, or VIP. Okay, nitric oxide or vasoactive intestinal peptide. Now listen. Oh, I have forgotten to mention that with acetylcholine, some neurons may also release substance P. Okay. Now listen. So nitric oxide and vasoactive intestinal peptide, when released, they will actually contract this longitudinal layer, but they will relax. They will inhibit this muscle layer, this longitudinal muscle layer. Therefore, they will relax, and this thing will occur, so that food bolus can enter here. Clear? So that food bolus can enter here. Okay. So whether the food bolus will move, forward or not, that depends on the circular layer of muscle, not the longitudinal layer. Okay. So when circular muscles will contract, this will happen. When circular muscles will relax, this will happen. Clear? Now you must understand a very basic thing, that is, this enteric nervous system is actually, free nervous system. It has its own, will and everything else. No doubt about this. It has its own will. Okay. But important point we need to understand is this: like heart, enteric nervous system is also under the fine tuning of sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Now I am not drawing this into details, but you must understand this very basic thing, that whenever parasympathetic nervous system is activated, then acetylcholine concentration in the GI tract will increase. Therefore, these neurons will contract and relax more. Clear? But when sympathetic nervous system is activated, then adrenaline concentration will increase. Therefore, the peristaltic movement will halt. Clear? Okay. So this is, the enteric nervous system, which is made up of, myenteric and mesenteric plexus. Myenteric plexus is actually, helping in, muscle contraction and relaxation, that is peristaltic movement, but mesenteric plexus is helping in secretion part. Okay. Secretion of gastric juices, or intestinal juices, whatever, GI tract juices. Okay. Clear? Now we will be talking about swallowing reflex. Okay. Now we will be talking about swallowing reflex.